Tegus have definitely become one of the most popular large lizards to own, and for a lot of new keepers owning Tegus, they're really coming from things like such as a ball python, blue-tongued skink, or even a bearded dragon to this, pretty large lizard. And it can be very disconcerting coming from things like bearded dragon, where the basking temps aren't too high comparatively speaking, the main diet is nothing but some insects, some leafy greens, and all in all your overhead costs are pretty low. Then go into a 4-foot lizard, something that needs a rather large enclosure, higher basking temps, additional lighting such as UVB, and a very diverse prey of diet, going from whole prey, chicken, livers, the list goes on and on. Well, basically what I'm saying is, a bearded dragon versus a tegu, the price is definitely going to be a lot higher. And the big question is, just how much does it cost to own a tegu? Well, today I thought I'd make a video going all over the expenses of a tegu costing. This can be anywhere from how much a tegu costs, your overhead costs such as, lighting setup, enclosures, substrate, things like that, and then just the monthly expenses, electricity, the diet, things like this, and then all in all going into pretty much what an average grand total would be of owning a tegu lizard. And well, with all that all the way, let's get down to it. Let's sit back, relax, and dive into how much Skrilla you're gonna need for Tegu. Roll the intro. Alrighty then, kicking off this video, let's get into number one, just how much a tegu costs. Now the cost of a tegu can range pretty widely. Depends on what you're talking about, just the classic black and white Argentines. Are you gonna want something with a different locality? Are we talking stuff about the, Colombian versus Argentine versus Chicoan? I almost forgot what the word is. Are you talking about different colors, black and whites, reds, blues, mixtures? Of course we have these hybrid-like mixtures of the blue and reds, white, blue, and reds. I mean, they're going in and out, different percentages, anything such as genetic mutations, in fact, albinos, things like this, where it gets a little bit confusing on just how much a single animal would cost. The only two things I can recommend is definitely going through a breeder instead of a pet shop. That way you can ensure that you have a very well-off, well-raised captive bred animal and are supporting a local breeder who's doing what they're doing for, what they love. This is gonna be like some pet store that they're just gonna throw whatever animal there is out there, put it in a tank, and then sell it for you for, I don't know, $100, $200. Actually, in fact, something funny to note is the tegu I bought from DYN Animals. I think I got mine for $200, maybe a little more than $200. He actually costs a lot less than this red that one of my local pet shops, they just have, I don't know where he came from, but they're charging like $360 for one. So actually, if you want to save money and actually get a better animal, go with the breeder. Cut down on this video's time and to simplify it a little bit, we'll be just going over the average cost of a black and white tegu. Now the average cost for these guys can usually be found anywhere from $200 to $400. There's a few different variables to get into that, what breeder is going for. Is it a breeder with a high reputation or someone that's just doing this as a hobby? Is the animal going for some sort of desired line breeding trait? For instance, my tegu was part of the high white line. This was someone that was breeding tegus that usually have a higher white in them and then line breeding them to get tegus with more white as a normal black and white instead of something like a blue, anything like that. So you can pretty much consider it anywhere from $200 to $400 when buying your tegu. But alright, enough of me tongue-tying myself about different genetic morphs, localities, and other things. Let's get into the next step, which is of course going to be, what are your overhead costs when owning a tegu? As far as overhead costs when tegus, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. We'll break this up into some individual categories, going with number one, the lights. Now, as a tegu is a baby, it is only going to require one basking light, whereas when it becomes an adult, you're going to need multiple basking lights to make sure that you're warming the entirety part of the animal. With that being said, for starting out as just a baby, I would just use one little dome. I usually get mine from Zoom Ed just because it's the easiest. If you are going from some other source, make sure you're using a ceramic dome, not a plastic. The little ceramic top, it'll be like a white, you'll kind of feel like, I don't know, clay or something, like a hard clay. Stone, I guess, would be the better terminology for that. Anything else, of course, you're gonna need a basking light for the basking dome. Personally, with myself, I use par 35 floodlights. If you are going with the same method I use, they're usually found at any home convenience store, Home Depot, Lowe's, even Walmart will sell them. Just make sure that you are getting the floodlight, not the spotlight. They look pretty much exactly the same, except for the fact that for floodlights, you'll have a little strip of green that says flood, and spotlights will have a little strip of yellow yellow that says spot on it. Spotlights are a little detrimental to the animal just because they're directing a light to a certain spot that can inflict burns over time. So as an endgame, you can pretty much expect to be buying at least 2 to 3 domes, with domes going anywhere from around 15, 20 bucks. We'll add that to $50 for those dome lights. Bulbs usually around anywhere from what, $8 I would think as an average. So that is 8, 16, 32. Match that together and we are at $82 for just lights. But hold on there, viewer, we're not done with lights yet. Nope. Even though that the Tegu does have the basking lights it needs, it also requires UVB rays. Now, what is a UVB rays, Dakota? It's the UVB light. What are you doing? We went over it with you when you were owning a bearded dragon. Your bearded dragon has a UVB light, right? Right? You might, I don't know what I'm doing. UVB lights go for tegus. They need a pretty high wattage or high visual, I don't know what the word is. They need the big percentage of UVB. Personally for myself, I go with the Arcadia 12% T5 bulbs. You can mount that to any of these Zoomed dome fixtures or just get one from a grow shot like myself. Pretty much we'll go with them what the most common one is, which is of course the Zoomed. Those usually go for anywhere for $40 to $60, depending on what kind of bulb you get and what size you get. However, with the Zoomed ones, they do usually come with the bulb. Of course, you're going to be wanting a Zoomed 10.0 if you do go with Zoomed, and that costly is around, with the bulb, you're probably going to be looking at 70 bucks. Let's tally this up real quick. You're spending an average of $250 for a Tegu. Of course, those lights are going to be costing somewhere around $82. Let's see, with that quick math, we can infer $332, and then plus another, what did I say? I think $75. We're looking at about $400 right now for a Tegu, and just overhead costs and the animal itself. Oh wait, hang on, I think we're missing something, and that's going to be the enclosure. Gotta house them somewhere. Don't free roam. My God, do not free roam. I know what some of you guys are thinking. I'm gonna free roam. Right, video right there. Right, the video's gonna be somewhere right here. Watch it. You dang free roamers. Now, enclosure is going to be something that's going to be pretty differential. Of course, you're not going to be starting out in just an 8x4 with a baby. You're usually starting out with something a little bit smaller and then gradually going up to that 8x4. Personally, for myself, I always believe, well, for one, I'm a firm believer of not putting them in things like aquariums. Nope, I don't believe aquariums are an adequate space for a Tegu. People can argue with me if you want. Providing a heat gradient in a aquarium enclosure, sorry I'm just stuttering so much, it's not really obtainable when you need spots such as 115 to 120 basking temp, and then having that lower end being 75, obtaining that as aquarium is pretty hard. Also the fact that with Tegus being higher humidity, they also require high humidity. You can't really get that on a screen top. It's something you're gonna have to modify, just doesn't look good. They're gonna grow out of it so fast, even if you have it something like 120 gallons, just get it a proper enclosure, man. Screw aquariums. Not to mention the fact that aquariums are overhead. When you're going overhead, that frightens the Tegu a lot more if you have a front opening one. Usually for babies, I recommend anything like a 4x2x2. It's gonna give them enough time where they'll usually spend at least a year in it before needing to make the upgrade. And pretty much the fact is, once you get them into a 4x2 and they outgrow that, you can usually just put them right into the 8x4, because there's probably a sub-adult at that point. They'll probably they'll appreciate the added room of the 8x4. However, they will have the confidence not to be too scared in an overwhelming amount of space. If you guys are looking for a great 4x2 enclosure for your baby Tegu, I actually have the product for you, and that is of course going to be Zen Habitats. Yes, Zen Habitats that really make the design a lot different than your standard PVC enclosure. Coming from something like this that's just a plain old black, don't look very nice, you know, it's typical, the cookie cutter of PVC enclosures. However, Zen Habitats takes that one step further. Take a look at these beautiful designs. It's got this nice bamboo finish, so even if you have something as large as a 4-foot enclosure, and what you're putting in your dining room, living room, it's still gonna have that aesthetic, that nice home decor that one is the reptile enclosure and two looks awesome. So hey, if I sold you on that with that spiel, we got it right down there in the description. Click that link and get your enclosure today. Wait, hang on, don't back out of the enclosure and Google it. Nope, don't worry, just the link. Just got it. No, there's no reason. It's not like I'm affiliated and I'm sponsored. I'm sponsored. By law, I gotta tell YouTube I'm sponsored. Yeah, but just down at the link would be the best place to do it. Easier for you, and yes, I do make a small commission off of it. It will win-win situation for I do believe. Now, enclosures are a tough one just because you're going to be needing a couple of different ones. Like I said, the 4x2x2, and of course once they're an adult, the minimum enclosure size is an 8x4x4. There are a couple different ways to source this out. You can of course go from like I said, an aftermarket part such as AP cages, Vision cages, Zen Habitats. I don't know if Zen Habitats actually makes an 8x4x4. Zen Habitats make an 8x4 so your boy can shout it out on his channel. Other than that, so I mean, those kind of costs are ranging from anywhere from $8 to $1,000 for one. You could of course go the handyman route and build one yourself. However, depending on the tools you make, the materials you use, that can also range anywhere from $300 to $800. So it's a little tough narrowing down exactly how much an enclosure is going to cost for you. How about we just jot it down at $600? Does that sound good for you? It sounds good for me. That way, I don't have to do a lot of math. Moving on. Alrighty, then heading down to our last thing you need for tegus. Well, it isn't just the last thing, it's the thing you're gonna need most often in the greatest amount of time over the lifespan of the tegu. That's of course going to be your monthly costs. And alrighty, heading down to the monthly cost of a tegu. This is going to span pretty much into 3 categories, I believe. That is... I had to burp. Sorry. That of course is going to be electric cost, the diet, and then just the miscellaneous things, you know, bulbs that go out, substrate's gonna be needed, things of this nature. So let's dive into these 3 things. Number 1, electricity. Now, I don't know really how, so here's the thing. At DVCB Exotics, we own 80 animals. I think we're actually getting up to almost 100. We're somewhere around 80. I couldn't really tell you how much electricity the tegu tents uses, because of course I have the tegu, the water dragon, the boa, the savu, the carpet, the king snake, ball pythons, there's a lot of animals in here. So with that being said, I can't really help you out. You can do the math yourself. Usually with tegus, you're gonna need 2 basking spots. That's gonna be 53 watts each. It's gonna equal 106 watts. The UVB bar usually measures around 26 to 30 watts. You can put that into the we're gonna do the math. Let's do the math right now. Siri, how much electricity does 175 watts use? She didn't tell me. I'm looking. You're looking at... Oh god, this is like really confusing. I don't know. $2 a day, maybe? Why is the electricity so confusing, man? What the fuck? I breed reptiles. I'm not an electrician. Get off my back. Of course, the next biggest expense is going to be the diet of the tegu, with them needing a very large variety, going from when they're babies, a couple of dubia roaches, insects, leafy greens, things like this, to when they're adults, eating a large amount of, you know, different fish, chicken, meats, whole prey. The diet gets pretty expensive. Pretty much you can look anywhere from $50 plus a month if you're trying to feed an adult tegu. Of course, this is dependent on a few different things. If you're buying things in bulk, if you're buying stuff for an adult tegu, how often you're feeding a tegu, and so on. But generally, I would put probably around $50 a month for them. Maybe a little less. Hang on, I'm gonna go look at my receipt that I just actually bought food for the tegu. Let me look at the receipt, I'm gonna get back to you. All right, boys and girls, we crunched the numbers. 30 to $50, depending. Moving on. And the last and final thing you gotta take into account, of course, going to be miscellaneous items. This is going to be things like when basking bulbs burn out, because dear Lord, basking bulbs burn out just like every goddamn day. I turn off a light and someone's basking bulb blows out. Home Depot 3 times a week. But it's $50 on fucking light bulbs just because these damn things won't stay on for more than a week. You can expect to pay a little bit for basking bulbs. Other things to mention, of course, different decor, you know, climbing branches, things like that. Reusing the UVB every 6 to 12 months, you'll need a new bulb. Substrate changes, things like this. So it's probably in your best interest to hold about 15 to 20 bucks in a month for these miscellaneous things that may or may not occur. Well, folks, there you have it. The crunching the numbers to how much a tegu costs. Let's do the math real quick, and I'll tell you the grand total of how much your tegu costs, or will cost you if you get one. Alright, let's see here. I said like $250 for a tegu. I said what, like I think, what was it, $70 for lights? What else did I say? There's something about the diet, I think 30. I don't remember what I said, so instead, the number's right there. That's your grand total. Wow, look at that number. That's a number right there, however more or little it costs. Hey guys, Editing Dakota here. So I just realized that for some reason my closing clip I had one clip left, it didn't record. So we're gonna do the outro like this. Of course, big shout out to Zen Habitats for a sponsor, a great company. Like I said, right down there in the description if you guys want to learn more about them or possibly get an enclosure through them. Other than that, if you like the video, please feel free to give us a thumbs up. If you want to see some more of my animals or my breeding projects, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, DBCB Exotics. We're also on TikTok. If you could please follow me on TikTok. I am so close to 10,000 followers. That would be awesome. Other than that, we got some rad t-shirt designs like these three right here. You can find those down there in the description. Also at Teespring, where we have Patreon. Patreon.com/DBCBExotics, so you get up-to-date updates on all the breeding products we're doing. As you guys know, I have a lot going on at DBCB Exotics. You get the first chance in on seeing the animals that come in, the pictures I take. You get first dibs on the animals I produce. There's a bunch of different tiers, a bunch of information. If you want to learn more, you can go down there as well. I think that's about going to cover it. I'm so sorry for this shoddy phone camera part for the ending. I don't know what happened there. I think that is going to wrap it up, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.